The following video was recorded at a place called Swirls and Twirls, and according to the man filming, the electrical problems had been going on long enough that nobody believed him anymore. He was closing up for the night, ready to lock the front door and head home when the store had other plans. Watch.
Okay, we're gonna peace out for the night. Okay, we're gonna peace out for the night. I can't even put the key in. This is what we deal with at Swirls and Twirls, and no one believes us because who would? Who really would? And the backlight's still on.
Crazy. Possessed by a demon, so
No, the light's still on.
Like, which one?
I don't think we turned it off though, but now the machine lights are on. Good. This is great. This is great. Okay, guys, I'm here alone. It's a few days later, and it's 6 o'clock. I'll show you the time. The lights are freaking flickering again. The music is being wacky. The speakers are in the ceiling. Like, this is literally insane. And now they stopped. And now they're like, this is what I mean. Nothing. Like, I don't know how to explain this. The switch is right here. This is.
The moment he says they're leaving, the interior lights cut out completely, then flicker back on while he's trying to get the key in the lock, then go dark again. A woman with him outside jokes about the place being possessed, but he doesn't laugh it off. A few days later, he's back inside alone, and the lights start flickering so intensely, he walks toward the back room just to show the camera what he's dealing with. And the instant he steps into that hallway, the lights in that specific area shut off. No one near the switch, nothing touching anything. Then they come back on, and the moment they do, the store's music blasts through the speakers loud and distorted. For a lot of viewers, the pattern here is the key detail. It's not random flickering that could be chalked up to old wiring. It responds. It waits until someone is leaving, until someone is watching, until someone is about to prove nothing is wrong. Electricians have a dozen explanations for flickering lights, and skeptics would point to faulty circuits or aging infrastructure. But what's harder to explain is the timing, the music cutting in like punctuation right at the end. That's not a wiring issue. Now, a young woman named Colleen and a young man named Nick were still inside the same shop around past 11 p.m. when things started going wrong. Chairs falling, lights flickering on the security feeds, sounds they couldn't place. Take a look.
Hey, it's 11:29. Me and Nick were supposed to leave here at 11 o'clock, but fucking shit is happening.
A chair fell. There's lights flickering on the machines.
There is lights flickering everywhere.
A chair fell.
It's freaking me out.
Colleen, what the f*** is that? There's actual footsteps going on in the ceiling right now, and something just fell over here. Is anyone there?
I'm scared. Oh, stop! Stop! Oh my god! Stop!
A pink stool tips over on its own in an empty section of the store. Then a metal sign holder is thrown sideways off a counter while she's standing right next to it. Then footsteps from the attic. Then a bang so loud she screams for it to stop. And then items are thrown off shelves in the storage aisle all at once, not one at a time, but in rapid succession while she and Nick run. A separate security camera catches containers falling from a high shelf and nearly hitting Colleen while she's cleaning. In night vision footage, a trash bin gets pushed over by nothing. What makes this harder to dismiss is the variety. You've got handheld footage, multiple security camera angles, different rooms, different people, all capturing the same escalating pattern within the same night. Some viewers immediately reached for poltergeist as the label, a term that comes from German meaning noisy ghost, historically associated with chaotic physical disturbances, thrown objects, and unexplained sounds rather than apparitions, often tied to locations rather than individuals. Others think what's happening at this location is something more territorial, a presence that tolerates people being there during the day but draws a line after hours. Either way, Colleen and Nick weren't even supposed to be there that late. What do you think made them stay? Now in this next clip, a man is standing outside his home alone at night. He came outside because a door inside started moving on its own, and he wants proof because nobody believes him when he talks about it. His voice is hushed and nervous as he narrates in Spanish, pointing his camera toward a parked RV lit up with a warm orange glow between two houses on a dark residential street. He keeps repeating that he's home alone, that there's nobody out there, and that something already peeked out before he started recording. Watch.
Vivo solo en mi casa, salí para afuera y la puerta se empezó a mover sola. Miren, 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 miren. Pero nadie me cree cuando les digo. Nadie me cree. No hay nadie ahorita ahí. Vi que se asomó algo y... Ese es mi perro, pero mi perro no puede alcanzar a hacer eso. Se apagaron las luces y están prendidas.
Right at the very beginning of that footage, if you slow down and focus on the fence in the center of the frame, a dark shadow darts from right to left, behind one of the vertical bars. Fast. Almost too fast to catch. Gone in under a second. His dog does eventually wander into frame near the RV's step, but he insists his dog couldn't have been responsible for what he saw. That shadow moved differently. Nobody out there, he says. So what exactly darted past that fence? Quick thing before we continue, all of our videos are now available on Spotify too, so if that's somewhere you already find yourself late at night, every compilation we've made is waiting there for you. Whichever way you'd rather watch, the link's in the description. Now back to the video. This next clip was recorded inside a home on the 17th of October, 2012, at 1:45 in the afternoon. Broad daylight, nothing unusual about the hour, nothing unusual about the setting. The man holding the camera appears to be documenting the house, moving slowly through the upstairs hallway and holding on a plain wooden door with a brass handle. There's no dramatic build-up, no flickering lights, just a quiet room, a closed door, and the stillness of an ordinary afternoon. Watch.
It's like the middle of the day. I'm the only person in the house, and just heard some footsteps going up and down the stairs. I've checked all the rooms. There is nobody in. It's been doing it for about 10 minutes. There it is again. Okay. Hello? Mike? Charlie?
Others point to more ordinary explanations. Older homes can produce remarkably convincing sounds as wood expands, contracts, or settles throughout the day, and acoustics inside stairwells can make those noises seem far closer than they really are. But what makes this clip linger in people's minds is how deliberate the footsteps sound. Not random creaks, not scattered pops, a steady ascent, as though someone was calmly making their way upstairs. Only no one ever arrived. So if you were standing alone in that hallway and you heard those footsteps coming toward you in the middle of a quiet afternoon, would you wait to see who reached the top of the stairs? The following clips were recorded by a group of men on what started as an ordinary camping trip, somewhere deep in a remote, wooded area at night, and whatever they encountered out there left all three of them shaken in a way that's difficult to explain away. The cameraman, a man called Joe, is already filming when the first scream reaches them, and from the very first second, you can hear that something is wrong. Phil, the man in the blue hooded jacket holding a hatchet, goes still. The man in the red plaid shirt turns. Nobody moves. Watch.
I don't know.
That was a child screaming.
Joe, listen.
Or like a woman or something. That was a female screaming. Phil.
I don't know what to tell you, but...
Please, please, please. No.
Closer, man.
Oh my God, Phil! It sounds like somebody's being raped.
Two separate screams tear through the darkness from somewhere deeper in the trees, high-pitched, human-sounding, the kind that hits you at a frequency that bypasses logic entirely. Joe can be heard saying it sounds like a child, then a woman, and then he's not sure what it sounds like anymore, only that it's coming closer. That alone should have been enough to make them leave. It didn't. Instead, they go in. In this second clip, Phil and Joe push further into the woods, flashlight beams cutting through the trees, following the direction the screams came from, which, by any sensible measure, is the wrong way to go. Watch.
Oh my God, Phil! It sounds like somebody's being.
Dude, you need to fucking help that fucking person, man. It's supposed to be fucking with you.
Phil, that sounds like some scary movie shit.
Dude, I have the biggest fucking revolver ever, dude. I fucking do it.
Do it first.
That's probably... Dude, we're not nowhere.
Dude, that sounds like some haunted ass shit, dude. What happened to the other steel target?
There's two. Wait, what the fuck
There's
is
one right
that?
there on the ground.
What the fuck is that?
It's on the ground.
What the fuck is that? That right there.
What the
Dude, that's not normal.
No. Please tell me you guys are fucking with me. Oh! No!
As they move through the dark, their lights catch something hanging from a thin, bent branch, a crude effigy, two sticks bound together in the shape of a cross, dangling in the middle of nowhere, with no obvious explanation for how it got there. Then a third scream rips through the woods, this one far closer than either of the first two, and the footage collapses into chaos as they run. Some viewers watching this immediately pointed to the effigy as the detail that changes everything, because a random scream in a forest, however unsettling, still has natural candidates. An injured animal, a fox, even certain birds are capable of sounds that freeze people in place. But a handmade object tied to a tree in a remote location at night suggests someone, or something, was already there. Others have gone further and connected the scene to accounts of wood knocking and vocalizations reported by people who believe in dogman or wildman sightings, large bipedal creatures said to produce screams that sound disturbingly human. Skeptics push back hard on that, pointing out that mountain lions and bobcats produce calls nearly indistinguishable from a woman screaming. 3 explanations, 3 completely different implications. I'd genuinely love to hear what you think is out there. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. Whatever it was close enough by the end that these men didn't stop to debate it. You decide what was waiting in those trees. The following video was recorded by a group of young women sitting inside a car at night, parked outside what they refer to as their grandfather's mobile home. And from the moment the footage begins, it's clear they've already seen something that has them on edge. The conversation inside the car is hushed and uneasy, with one of them saying, "I don't like it," before they've even zoomed in fully, and another asking whether someone might be inside the house. They're focused on a double-paned window on the side of the mobile home, dark from the outside. Nothing obviously wrong, but something has clearly drawn their attention to it. Watch.
Out of that window on Grandpa's.
Dude, look.
I don't like it.
I see it. Right into the house.
Yeah, now I go pee.
You think somebody's in there?
No, like right into the house with the car.
A tall, thin, translucent figure stands completely motionless just behind the glass, vaguely humanoid in shape, visible only because of how pale and faint it appears against the darkness inside. The women's reaction says everything. What starts as nervous curiosity ends in a full, panicked scream as the camera whips away from the house. Some viewers think what's visible is a curtain or a reflection, catching light at an odd angle, but the shape holds too long and stands too still for that explanation to feel comfortable. Others believe it could be something residual, an impression left behind in a space that carries the weight of family history, the kind of presence that doesn't move because it doesn't need to. That alone would be enough to leave most people shaken. But they went back. According to the text shared alongside the footage, the group returned roughly 10 minutes later, and that's when things escalated in a way that the first clip only hinted at. Watch closely. The door on the right side of the house swings open on its own, quickly, deliberately, accompanied by a sharp clicking sound, as if a latch released. The screaming that follows is immediate and raw, the kind of reaction that's nearly impossible to stage convincingly. When the footage settles again and they replay it, there's a faint pale shape in the window too, blurry and oval, something that could be a face pressed close to the glass. One of them says quietly, "There's nobody," but the door had already proven otherwise. The combination of the figure in the first clip and the door in the second has viewers split. Some believe the house holds something attached to the family, drawn back whenever they get close. Skeptics argue the door could have been opened by wind pressure or a loose latch, but the pale shape in the window is harder to dismiss, and the fact that it appears in both visits, same window, same faint silhouette, makes it difficult to write off as coincidence. Whatever it is, it doesn't seem bothered by them leaving. The following video was recorded by a man in Virginia who'd been noticing strange things happening inside his shed. Strange enough that he set up a Ring security camera in there to try to catch something on film. The shed itself is cluttered with tools, old boxes, and years of accumulated junk. The kind of space that's easy to ignore until it starts ignoring you back. The camera is mounted high in a corner, looking down over the whole room, and on the afternoon of April 19th of 2026, at around 4:26 p.m., nobody is inside. Nobody visible, anyway. A door at the back of the room is closed, the floor is still, and then it isn't. Watch.
Man, look at this.
What unfolds over the next few minutes is one of the densest collections of unexplained activity caught on a single static camera in recent memory. A door swinging open on its own, loud thuds and heavy dragging sounds filling the room with no visible source. A ball rolling out of the open doorway and stopping dead. A wooden shelf crashing to the floor, and then, most disturbingly, being lifted back up and out of frame against gravity. And then there's the music. Old-fashioned, tinny, with a female vocalist, faint at first, then growing steadily louder, as though something is physically walking it closer to the camera's microphone, right up until a sharp pop is heard, and something lets out a high-pitched cry of pain. When the man Yeed enters the shed to investigate, you can hear how shaken he is, breathing heavy, voice cracking, yelling into the dark attic above him, and getting nothing back. What he finds up there doesn't answer anything. Broken nameplates reading Mr. and Mrs. Ronald J. with the surnames snapped clean off, a shattered Rolex-style watch, shot glasses etched with the logo of Sweetbriar College, a women's-only institution here in Virginia, all of it belonging to someone else, someone whose connection to this shed he can't explain. Many viewers think what's captured here is classic poltergeist behavior, not a haunting tied to a location so much as an intelligence that interacts with physical objects, creates sound, and seems capable of responding to the presence of a camera. Poltergeist activity in paranormal research is often described as kinetic, loud, and escalating, the kind of presence that doesn't hide but performs. Others think the objects found in the attic matter more than the activity itself, that whoever Ronald J. was, something tied to him or to whoever he shared that nameplate with, hasn't fully left the space. The shelf being lifted back up is the detail that's hardest to walk away from. Things fall, that's physics, but whatever pulled that shelf back up wasn't working with gravity, it was working against it. So what exactly is living in that shed with him, and does it know he's looking? Now, in this next clip, a group of friends decide to explore the darker parts of the building they're staying in at 4:15 in the morning. What starts as a casual, laughing walkthrough of a dark office space slowly shifts into something far more unsettling. The man filming leads his two friends through room after room, trying locked doors, peering into a cluttered storage area, and eventually unlatching a back door that opens into complete darkness outside. The mood is still light. They're joking, whispering, shining a phone flashlight into corners until they saw something terrifying. Watch.
Oh, my pitu, my pitu, my pitu, my pitu, my pagi. My pagi, my pitu, mari kita tengok, mari kita tengok. Buka lampu, Pi, buka lampu, Pi. Nak guguk babi. Buka lampu, buka lampu. Mari sini, Pi. Macam ada orang tu. Allah, lampu pula tutup. Ya babi tu. Bodoh. Ni tinggal aku ke bodoh? Macam babi tinggal aku. Lampu tutup pula. Ruang ketang, ruang jiluan, ruang ketang. Bodoh. Bimbang. Diam. Tak pasal pipi. Diam. Ya. Dok orang tu. Dok sini gelak dia. Allah Akbar. Bodoh ah. Ya Allah. Bodoh. Babi gugah ya Allah. Allahu Akbar.
If you look closely, there's a figure, and according to the guys, it's a pokong. Near the edge of the darkness, a pale figure can briefly be seen motionless in the background. The group immediately reacts, and according to the men filming, what they saw was a pokong, a ghost from Indonesian and Malay folklore, believed to be the spirit of a dead person trapped inside their burial shroud. In traditional beliefs, the body of the deceased is wrapped tightly in white cloth before burial, with bindings around the head, neck, and feet. Legends claim that if the soul is unable to move on, the spirit may return in the same wrapped form, unable to walk normally, and often described as hopping or appearing stiff and motionless in dark places. Reports of pokong sightings are especially common near abandoned buildings, graveyards, and isolated roads late at night. Some viewers believe the figure was simply a person standing outside in the darkness. Others are convinced the reaction from the group was too immediate and genuine to be staged. But for those familiar with the legend of the pokong, the clip taps into a fear that has existed for generations. The following clip was recorded inside what appears to be a private collection room, floor-to-ceiling wooden shelves packed with hundreds of clown dolls, figurines, and ceramic pieces, a human-sized clown seated in a chair in the background, holding two smaller ones on its lap. The woman filming walks through the space calmly at first, taking it all in, until something just off-camera stops her cold. Watch.
Might do that. Are you a textual? Well, thank you. You see that? I did not.
She freezes mid-step, her expression shifting from neutral to wide-eyed shock, and she raises her palm outward like she's bracing against something invisible. Collections like this, especially ones centered around objects with human-like features, such as dolls or figurines, have long been tied to unsettling theories in paranormal folklore. Across multiple cultures, objects that resemble the human form are believed to act as vessels, not necessarily because something is placed into them intentionally, but because their likeness creates what some traditions describe as a spiritual anchor, something that makes it easier for unseen entities to attach themselves or manifest through them. Clown figures in particular tend to amplify that discomfort, not because of anything inherently supernatural about clowns themselves, but because their exaggerated expressions create a disconnect between emotion and appearance. Smiles that don't feel natural, eyes that seem fixed yet aware, making it easier for the human mind to interpret subtle changes as something more. The following video was recorded during a live stream session out of Columbiana, Alabama, in September of 2019, when 3 men were in the middle of a casual conversation about haunted artifacts, specifically about a trip one of them had taken to the Afterlife Museum in West Virginia, a place known for housing objects with dark histories. On the table in front of them sat 2 vintage baby dolls, brought out as part of the discussion. Nothing about the setup seemed alarming. The man on the right, joining remotely via video call, was mid-sentence describing what he'd seen at the museum. Death masks, haunted dolls, the kind of objects people warn you not to bring home. Watch.
Death mask. They actually had the cap they would put on death row inmate when they got the chair. I mean, it was bizarre. And I thought, yeah,
what happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it because I thought it was my eyes.
I didn't really. It was this one right here, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Screen, I didn't see. I missed it. Hey, I was just trying to see the head kind of wobble like it was trying to turn.
Yeah,
okay.
I thought brothers were playing with me.
Joe, you want to take that one home with you?
As long as it's temporary. They had death mask. They actually had the cap they would put on death row inmate when they got the chair. I mean, it was bizarre. And I thought, yeah,
what happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it because I thought it was my eyes.
And we're going to build a museum on it.
That'll be cool.
It's going to be a haunted museum and a Bigfoot museum, artifacts, and, you know, for storytelling and that kind of stuff.
Right. I had recently went up to West Virginia to the, what was it called? The Afterlife Museum. The Archive of the Afterlife Museum. That place was really interesting. They had all kinds of dolls that were haunted, were supposedly haunted. They had death masks. They actually had the cap they would put on death row inmate when they got the chair. I mean, it was bizarre. And I thought, yeah,
what happened?
Like 20 seconds ago, I thought, yeah. I ignored it because I thought it was my eyes.
I didn't really. It was this one right here, wasn't it?
The head of the dolls were slowly moving. What makes this harder to dismiss is that the man on the call admits he noticed the movement 20 seconds earlier and chose to ignore it, telling himself it was his eyes playing tricks. Both men react simultaneously and independently, which is exactly the kind of detail skeptics struggle to explain away. Some believe objects that have passed through environments like the Afterlife Museum can carry residual energy, absorbing something from the people and places they've been around. Others think the doll may have been responding to the conversation itself. If you watch the replay closely, you'll notice the right doll also shifts slightly at the same moment. So what exactly set it off? The following video was recorded on a home security camera set up in a living area, looking down a dark hallway toward a closed white door. The house appears quiet, no one moving, no lights on, nothing out of the ordinary by any visible measure. And then, fairly early in the footage, something changes. Watch. Some viewers think the figure is a camera artifact, a long exposure glitch layered over the original feed. Others aren't so sure, pointing out that the object moving independently happens in the same footage, and that kind of pairing, a visual apparition followed by physical movement, is something that keeps showing up in home security cases like this one. Whether the movements in this clip were caused by vibration, an unseen draft, a camera illusion, or something else entirely remains unclear. But moments like this are exactly why ordinary security footage so often ends up at the center of paranormal debates online. Now, in this next clip, a man wakes up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps on his basement stairs. Not once, not twice, but over and over for nearly 10 minutes straight. What makes this especially unsettling is that he thought it was over. Earlier that week, he'd visited a cemetery, and after that, every bit of activity in his home had gone completely quiet. He believed whatever had been following him had returned to where it came from. He was wrong. So he grabs his flashlight and starts moving through the dark house, narrating as he goes, clearly shaken. Watch.
Alright, so I was woken up this morning to the sound of walking up and down my basement stairs again. It was over and over and over for probably 10 minutes straight. It was just walking up and down the basement stairs. Now, this is the first any type of activity I've had in the last week. Now, I opened the cemetery up on Monday, and since then I've had absolutely no activity here at home. So I thought that whatever followed me, or whatever it was, returned to the cemetery, and that was it. But like I said, I woke up to, the back door's locked, all the windows are locked.
While he's mid-sentence, a loud crash cuts him off. A green shaker bottle now on the kitchen floor, with no one near it. He picks it up, hands unsteady, breathing heavy, and just says, "I don't know," over and over. You can hear the defeat in his voice. Some believe this is classic poltergeist behavior, objects displaced by an unseen force as a direct response to the witness's presence. Others think whatever came back from that cemetery didn't come alone. But what do you think? The following clip was recorded by a man somewhere in Carrollsville, late at night and in the middle of a heavy rainstorm. He's parked in his Jeep outside a building near a gas station when something across the street stops him cold. According to him, whatever it was had already been there when he first noticed it. Pale and vaguely humanoid, standing in the rain near the pumps. He gets out of the car, which, honestly, most people would never do. And the moment he does, something shifts. The temperature of the whole situation changes. Watch.
Oh my God. What the f do you want? Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone, please.
That figure in white, standing across the road in the dark and the rain, doesn't move the way anything should. And then the sound starts. A high-pitched, wavering wail that doesn't match any emergency siren, any car alarm, anything you'd expect to hear outside a gas station at night. He screams at it, pleads with it, and eventually scrambles back into the Jeep just to get away. What makes this harder to dismiss is the final glance in his side mirror before he speeds off. The figure is now under the carport he just left, and it appears to be contorting. Some viewers familiar with Carroll County's long history of documented hauntings have pointed out that the region around Carrollsville has carried paranormal folklore for generations. Others focused on those sounds, that unnatural, layered wail, and suggested it's consistent with what some researchers call an intelligent haunting, where a presence doesn't just appear, but actively communicates through sound and proximity. Skeptics think the figure is a person in a raincoat, and the sounds are distorted road noise bleeding through the recording. But that doesn't explain why it followed him. Where exactly did it go? The following clip dates back to June 28, 2013, when a man was at home in Arlington, Virginia. during a powerful storm. With nothing else to do, he picked up his iPhone and began recording the storm from his apartment window, capturing 3 short clips simply to pass the time, with no expectation that anything unusual would come from it. Days later, while going through his phone, he considered deleting the videos, but before doing so, he decided to watch them one last time, and at first, nothing stood out. Everything seemed normal, just flashes of lightning and the outline of the storm outside. But after replaying one of the clips a few more times, something finally caught his attention, something that hadn't been visible to him in the moment while he was recording. Watch. For a brief moment, the faint figure of what appears to be a girl, or possibly a woman, can be seen standing near the window. What makes this detail particularly unsettling is the context surrounding it, because there was no power in the apartment at the time, meaning no internal light source that could create reflections, and directly opposite the window is a solid wall, leaving very little room for the figure to be explained as a reflection from outside. He was also completely alone in the apartment when this was recorded, and more importantly, he did not see or sense anything unusual while filming, which raises the question of how something so visible on camera could go entirely unnoticed in real time. Some interpretations suggest that certain conditions, like storms, power outages, and sudden changes in light, can create the perfect environment for unusual visual anomalies, where shadows and reflections behave in ways that can be easily misinterpreted. However, others believe that moments like this, especially when something appears only on camera and not to the human eye, may point to something that exists outside normal perception, only becoming visible under very specific circumstances. Whatever was captured in that clip remains unexplained, and without further evidence or updates, this incident continues to linger as one of those recordings where something is clearly there, but what it actually is has yet to be determined. In this next video, a cafe that now serves customers every day was once an old hardware store, a place that already carried years of history before it was ever transformed. But what makes this location particularly unsettling isn't just its age, it's what reportedly happened there, because according to accounts tied to the previous owners, the original owner's son passed away inside that very building about 9 years ago, leaving behind a story that didn't end when the place changed hands. The new owners began noticing something strange not long after moving in, because every afternoon at exactly 3 p.m., long after the cafe had closed and everyone had left, they would hear distinct footsteps moving through the space, slow, steady, and consistent, as though someone was walking through the cafe during hours when it should have been completely empty. Curious and unsettled, they decided to set up a camera to see if anything could explain the sounds they had been hearing. This is what they found. If you look closely, something in the frame appears to move, subtle enough to miss at first, but clear enough on replay to suggest that whatever is moving is not part of the normal stillness of the room. In other recordings, they captured additional activity inside the cafe. Watch. In this clip, a chair moves on its own, with no one present in the store at the time, no visible cause, no disturbance in the environment that could explain the motion, which only deepens the unease surrounding what might be happening there. Moments like this begin to shift the narrative from coincidence to pattern, because when movement is repeated in an empty space, especially in a location tied to a past tragedy, it invites speculation that whatever once occupied that space may not have fully left. Now in this next video, a man named Troy begins documenting a series of disturbing events happening inside his home, and from the very beginning, there's a clear pattern to it all, because whatever is present doesn't simply move things randomly. It almost feels like something is attempting to rearrange the space to its own preference, only for it to come off as chaotic and destructive, leaving rooms in disarray as though an unseen presence is constantly interfering with the natural order of the house. Drawers are left open, objects are shifted out of place, and furniture appears slightly repositioned between moments, not in a way that feels accidental, but in a way that suggests intention, as though something is actively interacting with the environment and reshaping it, even if imperfectly. Watch this.
It's getting more intense.
You can hear heavy footsteps, like someone is moving freely from one part of the house to another. The same activity has been reported in multiple areas of the house, including the third floor where his son usually plays, which only adds another layer of concern, because now it's not just about unexplained movement, it's about something potentially occupying spaces meant to feel safe. Watch.
It's happening on the 3rd floor, too.
Again, the same stomping, the same scattered movement of objects, but this time accompanied by several orbs drifting through the frame. At this point, the pattern begins to feel less like coincidence, and some warn that repeated disturbances like this can escalate over time if whatever is behind it is not addressed. And that's where it starts to get more unsettling, because if this is something that's growing more active, then what Troy is experiencing now might only be the beginning of something far more intense. So if you've ever dealt with something like this, or have any idea what steps might actually help in a situation like this, share your thoughts. Because in cases like these, sometimes the difference between things getting better or worse comes down to what you do next, and whether or not you understand what you're truly dealing with. In this next video, two sisters are home alone inside their bedroom when their house alarm suddenly goes off.
I'm recording. Wait. Do you hear that? Can you check the security footage? Oh my god.
The security app shows the front door wide open, as if someone has just walked in. Naturally, they assume it's a break-in, but when they replay the exact moment the door opens, there's no one there. To make things worse, a police siren can be heard outside around the same time, adding to the panic. But that was not all that happened.
What is it?
They hear their bedroom door open. Convinced someone is inside the house, they make a split-second decision to escape through the window. After the footage spread, many viewers blamed the wind, but the sisters posted another clip explaining why that theory doesn't hold.
Wondering that maybe the door was the wind, but clearly, as you can tell, you have to kind of force down to close it fully. And there's just so much space between, don't mind. There's kind of like a huge distance, so there's no way the wind could have gotten that.
After explaining the door situation, they showed what completely changed their perspective. A moment captured on camera that made them question everything they thought they knew about that day. Take a look.
Clear.
A small, shadowy figure dashes past the camera. It moves incredibly fast, too fast to clearly define. There are no visible features, no clear arms, legs, or face, just a dark mass that crosses the frame and disappears. And if you look closely, the motion camera seems to adjust, almost like it's tracking something moving freely through the house. The sisters say this is a new build, not an old property with some long-forgotten history. So the typical house history explanation wasn't even on their radar. But the sequence is what unsettles them most. The front door opening first, then the bedroom door, then the shadow figure appearing inside. They believe something forced its way in. And that raises an earlier question. If something unseen opened the front door, Could it have also opened the bedroom door? Skeptics might argue camera glitches, motion blur, pressure differences in the house, or even a small animal moving quickly past the lens. Security cameras, especially in low light, can distort shapes and exaggerate speed. But the sequence of events, alarm, door opening, bedroom door moving, shadow figure, happening back to back is what unsettles most viewers. So what do you think? A chain of coincidences and technical quirks, or something that entered that house and moved through it freely? The following clip was captured during a paranormal investigation in San Antonio, Texas, on December 11th, 2016, inside a location that investigators had already described as deeply unsettling long before this footage was recorded, with reports of cold spots forming without warning, faint whispers heard in empty rooms, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched that seemed to follow anyone who stepped too far inside, especially in the darker sections of the building where the air felt heavier and the silence never quite stayed silent. According to those familiar with the location, it wasn't uncommon for equipment to malfunction or spike unexpectedly, as though something unseen was interfering with the environment, and there had even been previous claims of shadowy figures moving just out of sight, never fully visible, but always close enough to be noticed. Watch.
Do you need help moving on?
Alright, so let's play this shit back.
Let's see if we got quiet.
Is there anyone here right now?
Can you give us a sign that you are here? Reach out and touch my shoulder. My right shoulder. Give my jacket a quick tug.
If anyone's here, could you please state your name?
Now we're just using my phone because the other recorder died.
Whoa, that was weird. I think. What? I think I panned over here and it looked like,
What appears in the footage is difficult to dismiss because a white mass suddenly darts from left to right with a speed that doesn't quite match anything physical in the space before it seems to shift direction and reach toward the investigator, a movement that feels almost reactive rather than random. The way it moves has led many to believe this isn't simply dust or camera interference, but a ghost, especially because of its shape, its direction, and the timing of its appearance. Moments like this tend to blur the line between explanation and speculation, because while there are always attempts to rationalize what's seen, the behavior of whatever appears in this clip doesn't settle easily into a clear or comfortable answer, leaving behind a moment that continues to raise more questions than it resolves. And for now, whatever was captured in that investigation remains a mystery. The following video was recorded by a team of paranormal investigators in Carson City as they explored one of the state's oldest operating hotels, the St. Charles Hotel. This place has a long and unsettling history. Over the years, there have been multiple documented deaths within the building, including reports of self-harm and unexplained incidents that have left certain rooms with a reputation no guest wants to stay in for long. Staff and visitors have shared stories of footsteps in empty hallways, voices behind closed doors, and sudden temperature drops or spikes that seem to come out of nowhere. Some even claim that certain rooms feel overwhelmingly heavy, like stepping into a space where something hasn't fully moved on. So when investigators Patrick and Jason arrived, they already knew they might experience something unusual, but they didn't expect it to happen almost immediately. Watch.
Door.
Whoa.
What did it say? 198, 313.
Whew. Near logical creature.
313 degrees.
Can you make this box go off some more?
82.
Over here.
What the hell? Dude, there was somebody, 503. Dude, I went back in here and it went to 503. If I should leave, can you make this go to just really, really hot? If I should get out of here, 500, this went to 500, 150, 590. Did you get it?
I'm sure I did.
Do you know? Oh, it's so hot in 224.
172.
Dude, it is
179.
Are you right here? Yeah. No, it's like holding my hand right now. It's like hot right around my hand.
It's super hot right here.
And it's holding there. Something flashed on the SLS too. Can you make that go even higher? Make it. Yeah. It smells like it's on fire. Yeah. 151. Are you on fire?
39.
Is it going back down?
40. 111. 172. 151. Yeah, it hasn't stuck this like this ever.
No.
Inside the room, the temperature begins to fluctuate rapidly, rising and falling in a way that doesn't match normal environmental changes. And as time goes on, the energy in the space feels different, heavier, and more intense. It reaches a point where even they decide they've had enough. But just before they left, they capture something neither of them can explain. Watch closely.
There appears to still be quite a bit of activity inside the St. Charles Hotel, and even some guests that never checked out.
Right after a strange light anomaly appears, something else happens. A white, shadow-like figure can be seen quickly moving and then disappearing into the bathroom. And this is where things start to get really unsettling. People think it could be tied to the building's past, possibly the spirit of someone who once occupied that very room, still lingering, still moving through familiar spaces. But there's another theory that's been circulating, that the light anomaly may have been a kind of manifestation point, a moment where whatever was there gathered enough energy to briefly take form before disappearing again. So what do you think that was? A trick of the light, or something that didn't want to be seen for long? Now in this next video, a man begins documenting a series of events inside his home, and what makes it so unsettling is how gradual everything feels at first, almost like something easing its way in without being noticed. On the very first day, he hears knocking coming from one of the walls, and like most people would, he brushes it off. He assumes it's the house settling, maybe pipes shifting, or temperature changes causing expansion. Nothing that immediately suggests anything unusual. By the second day, the sounds return, but this time, they change. It's no longer knocking, it's scratching. Still, he tries to rationalize it, convincing himself it could be mice in the walls or something small moving through the insulation. Uncomfortable? Yes, but still explainable. at least in his mind. But by the third day, whatever was happening stopped being subtle. Watch this.
Llegó la tercera noche que no sé si escuchan ese ruido, pero estoy solo, ¿me entiendes? Estoy solo en la pieza y estoy solo en mi casa. O sea, no, boludo. No, amigo, no. No, boludo, se acaba de mover. ¿Qué? No, miren, para que vean que abajo no hay nadie, boludo. Posta. O sea, no estoy jodiendo ni nada. O sea, te juro que no hay nadie, estoy yo solo acá.
And this is where things take a different turn entirely, because viewers quickly started pointing out something in the room that he didn't seem to question at first. The empty chair. It's positioned in a way that feels intentional, almost like it's meant to be used, and it's facing a mirror. Now, this might seem like a small detail, but in paranormal discussions, it's often brought up as something you shouldn't overlook. Some believe that leaving an empty chair like that can act as a kind of invitation, especially if it's placed as though someone is expected to sit there. And when that chair is facing a mirror, it adds another layer entirely, because mirrors are often thought of as gateways or amplifiers, reflecting more than just physical images. At this point, he has just one question. How does he stop all these from happening? The following video was recorded by a man who goes by Derry, someone who works at the Valley Plaza Mall, a location that, while still active during the day, has quietly picked up its own share of unsettling rumors after hours. Some people who have worked late shifts there have mentioned hearing footsteps in empty corridors, distant voices when entire sections are closed, and even the faint sound of children playing or laughing long after the mall has cleared out. Most brush it off as echoes traveling through the building, but not everyone is convinced. While walking through the mall, Derry suddenly heard something that made him stop, the sound of kids laughing. The problem is, he was completely alone, so he pulled out his camera. Watch this.
On everything I love, I just heard a group of kids over here laughing. On everything, bro. I just heard a group of kids laughing. Where the hell the kids at? What the fuck? Bro, I know I'm not tripping, bro. I just heard a whole bunch of kids laughing, bro. You hear that shit? What the Bro, I'm in the mall by myself. Where the is it coming from? I know y'all heard that shit. Bro, what the I'm about to get about this bitch. What the is that? What the that? Staring right at me. Right there. My heart beating fast as bro. I'm scared as fuck. There's a person right there in a red shirt right in front of me. Right there, y'all see him. There's a person right there. Bro, what the f? No, he just standing there. Bro, he's just standing there, bro. Bro. I'm out of here.
There have been claims that certain locations can hold on to emotional imprints, especially places where large numbers of people gather over time. If that's true, then sounds like this might not be random at all. They might be echoes of moments that never fully left. This next video was recorded inside Willard Library, a place widely known not just for its books, but for something far more unsettling that has kept its reputation alive for decades. The library is said to be haunted by a spirit often referred to as the Grey Lady, a presence that staff and visitors have reported seeing for years. People have described catching glimpses of a woman in grey moving between shelves, hearing footsteps in empty hallways, and even witnessing objects shift when no one is around. Some employees have even claimed that certain areas of the library feel heavier than others, like you're being watched the moment you step in. On this particular day, a librarian was closing up when she suddenly started hearing a strange sound. Listen closely.
I can hear you back there. Why don't you show yourself to me? I know this is your home, and I mean you no disrespect. I'm just curious about you, like why you're here and who you are. My name's Missy. I'd love to know more about you.
After the video was shared, people quickly came forward with their own experiences. One man described how he had only been inside for about 10 minutes, simply printing a document for work, when he suddenly felt someone standing right next to him. He said the feeling was immediate, chills running through his entire body, and when he looked, there was no one there. What made it worse was the reaction of the staff member nearby. She saw him panic and calmly said, "Yeah, that happens all the time." He left immediately and never returned. Stories like this are exactly why many believe the presence in that library isn't just residual, but aware. Some think the so-called Grey Lady may still be wandering the halls, attached to the building for reasons unknown, occasionally making herself known to those who happen to cross her path. Others believe the energy in the building has simply built up over time, creating moments where the line between what's seen and unseen becomes thinner. Now in this next video, a man who is known for collecting statues with unusual and often tragic histories shares something he captured inside his home, and unlike most of his collection, this one seems to react. Over time, he had built a habit of researching the background of each piece he brought in, often finding that many of them were tied to loss, memory, or emotional significance, which is exactly why some people believe objects like these can sometimes carry more than just their physical form. On this particular day, he was simply playing a song when this happened. Watch closely. If you pay attention, the statue appears to move, not dramatically, but just enough to raise questions. Some believe that objects with heavy emotional or historical backgrounds can, in rare cases, become vessels for lingering energy, especially if they were once meaningful to someone who experienced deep attachment or loss. According to this theory, the song may not have been random at all. It could have triggered something familiar, something that resonated with whatever is tied to the object. So what do you think this was? A coincidence, or something reacting to a memory it never let go of? The following video was recorded by a woman named Alex, who began noticing something unsettling about the house right next to hers, a place that, by all accounts, should have been completely empty. The neighbor who lived there had sadly passed away after a heart attack, and since then, the house had remained untouched. No family moved in, no renovations, no new tenants, just a quiet, closed space that hadn't shown any sign of life for a long time, until Alex started noticing something that didn't add up. For several nights in a row, lights inside the house would suddenly turn on, and then off again, at different times, with no clear pattern. So one night, she decided to record it. Watch this.
It just looked like somebody, or it still looks like someone's looking out the window, but I can't tell. Does that look like a whole person standing there in that window? Like kind of looking out?
It's a refrigerator.
Okay.
I can see the handle of it.
No one. That's the neighbors.
No, that dark window.
But that's his bedroom. Another bedroom.
That window was open. That window wasn't open.
No.
That window hasn't been open.
No.
You look at that house every day.
No one's been in this house since he passed, other than when they came and redid the floors and everything to get it so people can move in it, but no one's even come and looked at the property. Let me try something. Okay. I haven't done this filter in a minute. Let me see if it works. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Alright. I hate when it does that. Let's see if I can get it. Let me go out to my porch real quick. Alright.
Oh.
So it's doing that every time. No, I know.
Leave it alone.
Let me try it one more time. Alright, so I just turned the filter off so I can zoom in one more time. Y'all, I don't know what's going on. But it's not normal. He won't let me go over there and investigate any further. There's that open window again. And the light's not even on over there. It's just literally on in his living room. And that's where he always chilled, was in his living room.
I know. Okay.
Alright, I'm going to end it here, y'all. I'll update you in a little while if I see anything.
Her first thought was simple. Maybe the lights were on a timer. But when she reached out to the landlord to confirm, the answer made things worse. There was no timer installed. No one had been inside the house. And according to him, no new tenant had moved in. So if that's the case, then who or what is turning the lights on? If the former owner had a strong attachment to that space, some believe it's possible that part of him never truly left, that what Alex is seeing could be a presence continuing its normal patterns, unaware or unwilling to move on. But like always, you be the judge. The following video is about a man who believes he's living in a haunted apartment, and not because of what single incident, but because of a series of small, unsettling experiences that have slowly built up over time. He's mentioned hearing movement in rooms he just left, faint sounds at night when everything should be quiet, and that constant feeling of being watched, especially when the lights are off. One evening, something happened that he couldn't explain away. Watch closely.
Watch. Tell me I'm not on fucking crack, dude. Hell no. What the f? Dude, I'm out of here.
In the moment the light switches on, you can briefly see what looks like a figure entering the frame, But almost instantly, as the light fully comes back, there's nothing there. No movement, no shadow, no one standing where something clearly just was. There's a theory that whatever it is might be avoiding direct visibility, choosing moments where it can appear just enough to be noticed, but never long enough to be confirmed. And if that's the case, then it wasn't caught by accident. It let itself be seen. And if you think nothing was there, then what walked into frame the moment the light came on? And more importantly, where did it go? Until more updates are shared, this remains a mystery. The following clips come from what appears to be an ongoing series of recordings made inside the same home. A lived-in apartment with children's drawings on the walls, toys scattered on the floor, and a security camera running through the night. According to the person behind the camera, the activity has been escalating across multiple incidents, and he's been documenting each one. In the first clip, he's decided to investigate a disturbance in the dark, despite his wife warning him not to. He gets out of bed, moves through the house with his phone as a light source, checks a wardrobe, finds nothing out of the ordinary, but the security camera feed running in the corner of the frame tells a different story. Watch.
Shh. Let me just check. It's coming from the cupboard. Could you please stop?
According to the family, the knocking had become so common that they eventually started speaking to whatever was causing it. At one point, the husband reportedly asked it politely to stop. Instead of quieting down, the knocking grew louder and more aggressive, leading some viewers to speculate that whatever was behind the sounds seemed to react to being acknowledged. Another night, the disturbances returned. Once again, he woke up to a strange noise and left bed to investigate, expecting another false alarm. Instead, he got the scare of his life. Watch.
This started again. Yalla, go to sleep now. Don't get up. It's almost the same time.
What's harder to shake is the pattern. 2 separate nights, and now they've become so used to it, they even have a name for whatever's been in this house. They call it Jerry. And now the 5-year-old son has started asking about Jerry by name. Listen closely.
Oh my god. Ajay? Kya hai ye? It's just near the door.
Daddy, what is it?
Nothing, but I just go to sleep now, okay?
Is that Jerry?
I don't know. Just just be quiet now.
Hey.
Please, I beg you. Majja, don't go. Listen to me.
It's okay, just be quiet.
The scratching is unmistakable, a series of quick taps and scrapes, repeating with that uneven rhythm that's genuinely difficult to attribute to pipes or settling walls. And then the moment the father gets up to check, it stops completely. That detail alone is what gets under people's skin, because an accidental sound doesn't respond to presence. A named entity that a child has come to know casually, that scratches at a door and goes quiet the second someone moves toward it. That's a different kind of unsettling entirely. The fourth clip is silent again, and it documents something more subtle. A lamp with a black and white geometric pattern, filmed on the static security camera in the early hours of the morning, turning on and off by itself in an empty room. Watch.
I just have no words. Let me just show you the video itself. Okay.
When he went back into the room, viewers noticed what appears to be a shadowy figure moving behind him, following his path through the room before disappearing from sight. And then comes what may be the most compelling footage of all. The most extensive footage in this set captures what may be the most direct evidence yet. He's woken up in the night again, this time by the sound of the kitchen tap running. He gets up, finds the tap on, turns it off, and almost immediately hears water running again. The lights in the hallway won't turn on. He notices a child's red scooter near the door that he doesn't remember being there before he slept. And briefly, along a white wall, a faint wispy anomaly rises upward and disappears. Watch.
It's 5 minutes early today. Okay, okay.
The security camera footage recorded earlier that same night fills in what the first-person view couldn't capture. A dark, translucent shadow figure moves across the living room, pushing the scooter, then walks away as the scooter continues rolling on its own. The figure reappears later, crossing from the hallway into the kitchen, and moments after it enters that space, the sound of the tap turning on begins. That sequence, the figure entering the kitchen, followed immediately by the water, is what a lot of viewers find most difficult to rationalize away. Some believe shadow figures of this kind represent a conscious presence, something with intent rather than residual energy, a distinction that matters because intent implies awareness of the people living there. Others point to the misplaced scooter, the unresponsive light switches, the child who already knows the ghost's name, and suggest that whatever is in this apartment has been making itself comfortable for a while. The family seems to know it. The 5-year-old isn't even scared yet, and that might be the most unnerving detail across all of these clips. Not the blurs, not the lamp, not the shadow pushing a toy across the floor, but the fact that a child has simply accepted it as part of home. Whether this is one presence or several, whether Jerry is a name given to something ancient or something entirely modern, the footage keeps coming, and whatever is in that apartment doesn't appear to be going anywhere. The following clips were both recorded inside what appears to be a large warehouse store, the kind of place that feels completely different after hours, when the shelves are still stocked, but every aisle is empty, and the only sound is the hum of the lights overhead. The man filming had been alone, locked inside a small monitoring room, watching security cameras, when he started hearing something he couldn't explain. He describes it in Spanish, something scratching the walls, coming from somewhere nearby. He insists he doesn't want these things to happen, which tells you this isn't the first time something's felt off in this building. Watch closely.
Raza, estaba yo aquí monitoreando las cámaras en un cuarto encerrado y se escuchó como si alguien estuviera rascando la pared. Ya, no, de verdad, ya no quiero que pasen estas cosas. ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué cojones? ¿Qué mierda fue eso?
Two sounds hit him in quick succession, a loud, forceful scraping or thudding against the wall, enough to jolt the camera, and then a sharp knock directly on the metal door. He opens it and steps out into the service corridor, then into the main store, clearly shaken, checking the restroom, checking the hallway, and finding nothing. No one. That alone is unsettling. Some viewers think the sounds are consistent with what's sometimes described as poltergeist activity, not a ghost in the traditional sense, but an energy force said to interact physically with its environment, making contact through noise and impact, rather than appearing visually. Skeptics argue it could be pipes, settling metal, or an animal in the walls, but the knock on the door is harder to dismiss, because it's rhythmic, deliberate, and comes from exactly the right height. He still doesn't have an answer when the second incident happens. This time he's out in the store aisles, pushing his own cart, voice hushed, breathing audible, saying it feels like someone is watching him. Watch.
No sé qué está pasando. Realmente se escuchan ruidos a lo lejos. Está pasando algo muy extraño, no sé qué está pasando. Se siente como si alguien me estuviera observando. No lo sé. No mames.
An empty green shopping cart, sitting completely still in the middle of an aisle stocked with bottled beverages, suddenly rolls forward and to the right on its own, quick, a few feet, then stops. He reacts immediately with a loud, genuine exclamation of shock, and the sound of his own cart wheels rolling fast on the concrete tells you he didn't stick around. What makes this harder to explain is that both events happened in the same building, within what seems like the same shift. Scratching and knocking in the locked room, then a cart moving by itself in an empty aisle. Two separate incidents, two separate forms of physical interaction, and no one else in the building. So what exactly is in that store? This next clip comes from a night investigation inside the ruins of St. Mary's Church in Colston Bassett, Nottinghamshire, a site that traces its origins back to the 12th century and has drawn paranormal investigators for decades, some of whom claim to have encountered demonic activity within its crumbling stone walls. The team is moving through the interior using a handheld camera on night vision, panning slowly across the ancient stonework, when something outside catches the frame. Watch.
Just the same as what it says at the front.
In the right-hand section of a large window opening divided by a central stone pillar, a dark vertical shape appears, moving quickly from right to left, passing behind the pillar and then simply vanishing before it clears the other side. The team insists all members were accounted for at the time. Some viewers think it's residual energy, the kind of repeating imprint that old religious sites are said to hold. Others believe it's something more aware, something that knew the camera was pointed at that window. Either way, it doesn't wait around to be identified. What exactly passed through that window frame? The following clips were recorded by a man named Johnny, who has been dealing with escalating paranormal activity inside his home, alongside his wife Cecilia and their children. And what started as something unsettling quickly became one of the most terrifying documented cases of vocal mimicry caught on camera. The first clip begins at night, with Johnny in a clear state of panic, moving fast through the house before rushing to unlock the front door with his keys. Watch.
Tranquila, ¿eh? ¿Qué quieres? escuchas? ¿Qué quieres? No te voy a abrir. No te voy a abrir. Calma, niña. Tranquila, mami. No te voy a abrir. Vete. Oye, no manches, ¿viste? Vete. Esto es impresionante. Lárgate, lárgate de aquí. No te voy a abrir, lárgate. Lárgate. Tú no perteneces aquí. Vete.
What makes this clip so deeply unsettling isn't just the voice, it's the fact that Cecilia, Johnny's actual wife, is already standing inside the house holding their daughter when that same voice, her voice, begins pleading from behind the curtain, begging Johnny to open the door. He refuses, and when the voice shifts, dropping from a convincing human imitation into a deep, guttural, monstrous groan after he commands it to leave, that transformation is what catches people. Many believe this is a textbook example of what various Latin American and indigenous traditions describe as a nagual, or a shape-shifting spirit, an entity capable of borrowing a person's voice, their face, even their entire identity, specifically to gain access to a home or family. Others point to a more modern framework, the doppelganger phenomenon, where a malevolent double of a living person is believed to appear as a warning or an omen. Skeptics argue the voice could be a neighbor or someone outside pulling a prank, but that explanation doesn't hold up well against the vocal transformation at the end. That sound isn't something a person does. The activity didn't stop there. Later that same night, the family barricaded themselves in the children's bedroom, and what Cecilia told Johnny in the chaos tells you everything. It's getting stronger every time. Listen closely.
No manches, Johnny. Otra vez eso, papi.
Sí.
Tranquila, mami, tranquila, no pasa nada.
Pero es que es mi voz.
Tranquila, tranquila, no es nada. No tengan miedo porque si no eso se alimenta de nosotros, ¿eh? No tengan miedo.
Papá, ¿pero quién es?
Tranquila, mami, tranquila, ven. No pasa nada.
Sí, tranquilos, sí.
Escucha, o sea.
No, sí está muy cañón, Cecilia.
Sí, es que ya cada vez está más fuerte esto. ¿Eh? Ya, bebé, ya, tranquila.
A su máquina, no más.
Tranquila, mi amor. ¿Y ahora qué hacemos?
A su máquina, no manches.
Ya, mi bebé, ya. Sí, mi amor, te da miedo,
Sí.
miedo. Sí, mi vida, te da miedito.
Tranquilos, no tengan miedo. No manches, tranquilos.
No, mami, no pasa nada, tranquila.
No manches, güey.
Espérense aquí, tranquilos.
No mames, güey.
Sí,
tranquilos.
tranquilo, neto, estás temblando.
A su máquina, no manches, güey. A la máquina.
Yo creo que me voy con mi mamá yo.
Sí, hay que irnos.
The banging that erupts on that door is violent. Not a knock, not a rattle, but something trying to break through, and then comes the voice, low and demonic, screaming for them to open up. Young Ernesto is shaking, but Johnny keeps telling the children not to be afraid, because whatever this is, he believes it feeds on that fear, which suggests this family has been living with this long enough to understand its behavior. That awareness alone is chilling. The entity had already mimicked Johnny's wife outside the house, then mimicked one of the children's voices, and now it's at the bedroom door, with a sound that no longer pretends to be human at all, a clear escalation from deception to aggression. Some who've studied accounts like this believe the mimicry phase is a probing tactic, testing which voice will get the door opened, and when that fails, the mask comes off entirely. Cecilia says she needs to call her mother, and given what comes next, that instinct seems right. This is a separate recording from the same home, captured on a security camera on the night of January 3rd of 2026, and it was filmed silently, with no audio. Watch.
Amigos, quiero que vean este clip de la cámara de seguridad que está de aquel lado, allá en la esquina. Este lo descargué el 3 de enero del 2026 a las 8:32 de la noche. Fue grabado, si no me estoy equivocando, el 2, porque yo siempre un día antes, un día después, mejor dicho, reviso las grabaciones de un día antes. Y pues bueno, han de haber sido del 2 de enero. Y la hora sí me acuerdo claramente que fue a las 3 de la madrugada. Quiero que lo vean ustedes bien. Voy a tener el sonido bajo porque de hecho se escucha una interferencia bastante fuerte. Pero denme ustedes su opinión, obsérvenlo bien a detalle todo y pues ustedes me dicen, ¿no?
The night vision footage shows a bedroom, a person lying still in the bed, a white rocking chair in the center of the room, and standing completely motionless in the dark corner behind that chair. A tall, slender figure with long dark hair and a pale, indistinct face. Then the chair begins to rock on its own, slow and rhythmic, while the figure stays where it was. The figure. Most paranormal explanations for a rocking chair focus on presence and energy, the idea that something unseen is sitting there, occupying a space. But this figure is visible. It's standing right there, and it still isn't the one causing the movement. Some viewers think the figure is a shadow person, a term used in paranormal communities to describe dark, humanoid forms often reported standing in corners or doorways, most commonly at night. Others, given the long hair and pale face, gravitate toward a different kind of presence entirely, one tied to the same family of entities described in Latin American folklore as La Llorona, or a similar wandering spirit drawn to homes with children. The digital distortion that pulses across the screen as the chair rocks has divided people too. Some call it interference caused by paranormal energy. Others call it evidence of editing. What you can't argue away as easily is the combination, a figure that was already there before the chair moved, watching, waiting, while the family slept. And when you place that footage alongside what happened with the voice mimicry and the violence at the bedroom door, the picture that forms is of something that's been in this house for a long time, patient, deliberate, and not done yet. Now in this next clip, a group of men are reviewing security camera footage late at night, the kind of casual walkthrough, where you're mostly expecting to find nothing. The camera they're reviewing is in black and white night vision, pointed at the exterior of a building with exposed wooden rafters running along the top. At first, the footage looks completely clean. One of them says, "There's nothing, it's safe, right?" Calm, almost bored. They pan across the frame looking for anything unusual, scanning from the walls up toward the roof structure. Then someone spots something tucked near a beam. Watch.
Nggak ada ya, aman ya. Di sini aman, oke? Kita coba lihat ke atas sebelum atas sebelah sananya. Atas mana? Atas tengah ini.
Bebas. Terserah kalian guys, mau pilih
yang mana? Tuh, kan nggak ada.
Udah bro, stiker ya.
Ntar kita zoom.
Stiker itu.
Ini stiker atau apa sih? Ini mah manusia.
Stiker matamu.
Manusia jurik. Susulin jangan. Gerak goblok.
What the zoom reveals is a dark humanoid head with two large, perfectly round, glowing white eyes staring directly at the camera from behind a wooden beam, completely motionless. Then it retracts and vanishes. One of the men says, "Manusia jurig," which in Indonesian translates roughly to a human ghost or demon. Some viewers think those eyes rule out anything living, pointing to the unnatural glow and the stillness before it pulled back. Others aren't so sure, but whatever it was, it knew it had been seen. Now in this next clip, a woman is alone in a massive stone cathedral in Norway at 2:30 in the morning, sitting at a large pipe organ and filming herself practicing, something she says she does regularly and usually without fear. But tonight is different. Shortly after she starts recording, she catches something on audio that stops her cold. Watch.
Guys, I love you all. Please don't do this in the middle of the night. It's really scary. It's 2:30 in the morning and someone's trying to get in, and it is. I know they can't get in, but it is still scary. I basically just sit here in silence until I feel like they've probably gone. But yeah.
First, 3 muffled thuds echo through the empty nave, distant, rhythmic, like someone knocking on a heavy door deep inside the building. Then, less than 30 seconds later, the sounds escalate dramatically, a violent metallic rattling followed by 3 loud, forceful bangs, as if something is throwing itself against the door from the other side. What makes this harder to dismiss is the setting itself. Norway's Gothic cathedrals carry centuries of history, and Akershus Fortress in Oslo is known for reports of whispers and unexplained sounds moving through its stone corridors at night. Whether whatever was outside that door was human or something else entirely, she never found out. You decide. The following video was recorded by a woman who's been dealing with escalating paranormal activity for some time, and by the time she filmed this, she was clearly at her breaking point. She's standing outside an old, dark house at dusk, the kind of low light that makes everything feel heavier than it should, with a stretch of bare trees and dead leaves just behind her. According to her own account, she'd been terrified every single night, and someone had given her a specific piece of advice. Return the camera she found back to the exact spot in the woods where she discovered it. She's not confident it'll work. She admits she doesn't have anything else to try. Watch.
So I've been getting a lot of recommendations to bring the camera back, right back to where I found it. Roughly right over there. And I think that's a good idea, I really do, but I'm just not sure if it's gonna work. I'm not sure if it's gonna make any of this stop, but honestly, it's worth a shot. I don't really have anything else to try. I'm getting scared still every single night, and I just don't know what to do, honestly. So I'm really hoping that this is the thing that's really gonna make it stop. I don't really know.
While she was talking, the curtain moved, like someone was watching her. What makes her account so unsettling isn't just the fear on her face, it's the implication underneath it all. She found a camera somewhere in those woods, and ever since, something has been happening to her at night. Some viewers think the returned object theory she's following aligns with a belief found in various folk traditions, that certain objects can act as anchors for a presence, binding it to whoever carries the object away from its original location. The next day, she decided to check inside the old house to see if anyone was there. Watch. If you look closely, you see someone move past the window. It's faint, quick, and easy to miss, which is exactly the kind of thing that gets harder to dismiss the more you re-watch it. Some think it's a camera artifact. Others think it's something responding to her presence there. And honestly, either answer raises its own question. This next video was recorded by a man alone in his home at nighttime, after he heard the sound of glass breaking somewhere below him, a sound that pulled him out of whatever he was doing and sent him straight toward the basement with a night vision camera in hand. The hallway he moves through is cluttered and narrow, stacked with boxes and picture frames, the kind of space that already feels uneasy before anything happens. Watch.
Heard glass break. There's nothing down there but my windows to break. I'm leaving the house, man. You're done. Catch me if you can. I'm leaving, man. Have it out now. What the do you want?
What you hear at the moment he shouts his taunt is immediate, a loud, percussive bang that responds almost like an answer. Seconds later, a second crash, louder, more violent, sends him screaming, and the camera drops completely, tumbling across the floor and landing face up. It's the final still frame that stops most viewers cold, a grainy, brightened image of a wall corner where a distinct, dark, humanoid shadow figure is standing. Some viewers immediately pointed to poltergeist activity, a term used to describe a force that interacts physically with its environment, not just appearing, but throwing, breaking, responding. Others think the escalating pattern, auditory first, then physical contact, mirrors what parapsychologists describe as an intelligent haunting, something that doesn't just make noise but reacts directly to provocation. He taunted it, it answered, and I honestly can't think of a more unsettling question to sit with than this. What exactly answered back? The following video was recorded inside a quiet room one afternoon, with daylight pressing through the blinds and everything looking perfectly still until this happens. The small knob on that cabinet jiggles, briefly, sharply, like something tried to pull it open. According to the owner, this occurred shortly after purchasing an antique mirror from an estate sale and bringing it into the home. The mirror had originally come from an old property clearance, with no known history attached to it. In the days that followed, subtle disturbances were reported around the house, but nothing was captured on camera until this moment. Some viewers suggest a simple explanation: settling wood, internal pressure in the cabinet, or a hidden mechanism like a loose string or latch, reacting off-camera. But others point out what makes the clip unsettling is not just the movement itself, but the absence of anything visible causing it. There is no one in frame, no interaction, no follow-through, just a single, isolated motion, and then stillness again. Moral of the story, as the owner later put it, be careful what you bring into your home from estate sales, garage sales, or thrift stores, because sometimes what seems like a simple object can come with more than just history attached to it. The following video series documents what a family claims has been an escalating sequence of paranormal activity inside their home, beginning with something their young son kept trying to tell them, and which they, like most parents would, initially dismissed. The boy had been mentioning someone named Jerry for a while, a name that didn't belong to anyone in the household, and the family assumed it was the kind of invisible friend children invent and eventually forget. Then the security camera caught something that made that explanation a lot harder to hold on to. Watch.
I don't see something. Here?
No, I don't know. What is it, Mona?
Belly.
Where?
It's right here, next to the gun. It's next to the gun.
What you see is the boy mid-play, suddenly freezing completely still, rigid, alert, visibly frightened, staring at a point off to the right of the frame where nothing visible to the camera exists. He stays that way for several seconds before running to wake his father, and the moment the man is up, the child points directly at that same spot, insisting something is there. The father investigates and finds nothing.
Green Goblin. The Venom.
No one believed him. That detail matters, because children under 5 are frequently cited in paranormal research as more perceptive to presences that adults can't detect. Some believe it's because they haven't yet learned to rationalize away what they sense. Others think entities like Jerry, which would traditionally fall under the category of an attachment, a presence that fixates on a specific person in the home, often a child, actively choose younger witnesses precisely because they're more likely to be dismissed. The next morning, the family was going about a completely normal start to the day. The woman washing dishes in the kitchen, the man waiting to refill a container, the boy sitting on the sofa watching a movie. Nothing about it felt unusual. Watch closely.
ये maggots कहाँ से आ रही? What?
What?
Maggots, houseflies के जो worms जो आते हैं ना, 2 हैं. इधर है ना? Maggots, not worms. Come and see ना, कितना time लगा रही हो? Take a minute, please.
कहाँ से आ रहे?
Pick up your puzzle after cleaning fast. Remove the puzzle.
What?
मारो कीड़ों को बाहर निकलेंगे तो.
What?
चलो fast.
There's a lot of chichi.
Just remove everything I need to mop. एक झाड़ू करो एक मॉप करो. Nothing. Later I will tell you. I want clean house.
Relax, maggot. Why are you scared?
बेब्स बच्चा तुमको देख के सीखता है ड्रामा मत करो
A small blue toy on the floor rocks forward and then backward on its own with no one near it. The man is several feet away, and the movement has no obvious cause. It's brief, maybe 2 seconds, but it's distinct. Skeptics would point to vibration from footsteps or an uneven floor, and that's a reasonable argument on its own. But set against what the child had been reacting to the night before, a lot of viewers see this as confirmation that whatever was in that room wasn't done making itself known. Small object movements are one of the most commonly reported early signs of poltergeist-adjacent activity. Not the dramatic, furniture-flinging kind, but a quieter presence testing the space, learning the room. The family says they ignored this too. Things didn't stay quiet. Weeks later, after friends, both Christian and Muslim, suggested playing the Lord's Prayer and Ayatul Kursi to clear the apartment of whatever negative energy had taken hold, the family did exactly that. And according to them, what followed was immediate and deeply disturbing. Listen closely. The man and woman are discovered moving through the apartment in visible distress, searching the floor, bending down, the woman pressing her hand to her mouth in what sounds like genuine panic, her voice high and alarmed, while her husband speaks in a calmer, measured tone, trying to keep her composed so the boy doesn't pick up on her fear. They reportedly found close to 33 maggots appearing throughout the apartment with no traceable source. No rotting food, no entry point, no explanation for where they came from. In certain religious traditions, a sudden and unexplained infestation following a spiritual cleansing is interpreted not as the evil leaving, but as it reacting, a sign that something present in the space was disturbed by the prayers and pushed back. The timing here is what keeps this from being easily explained away. Maggots require a food source and time to develop, and finding them throughout the home within hours of playing those recordings, with no origin point discovered, sits uncomfortably outside what a simple pest problem usually looks like. The woman, we're told, has a phobia of worms, which makes her panic understandable on its own. But the man's calm, systematic search suggests he wasn't dismissing it either. Whatever Jerry is, and whatever has been moving through this apartment, it doesn't seem to be fading. It seems to be escalating. What do you make of that pattern? Now in this next clip, 2 young women are sitting together at a large wooden dining table late at night, candles lit, a handmade Ouija board laid out in front of them, just a piece of paper with letters written across it, and a small, dark object serving as the planchette. No names have been given, so we'll just call them the dark-haired woman and the blonde. They're speaking throughout in what sounds like Swedish or Norwegian. Their voice is calm at first, focused, asking questions with their fingers resting lightly on the planchette as it drifts slowly across the paper. Then something shifts. Watch.
Ta ned på god dagen. Det er ikke. Åh, shit. Kødder du nå? Ok, vet du hva? Nå kan jeg få gå hjem, eller? Du kan ikke gå hjem? Nei, jeg tør ikke å gå hjem. Jeg tør ikke å gå nå. Ta det bort, da. Jeg tør ikke å ha det her nå. Hva sier? Ja, men dere, nå faen, nå er jo han, nå er ånden her, da. Nå må dere... Ja, velkommen etter av banen. Tenk hvis han kommer og tar meg, da. Fy faen, jeg sitter alene. Faen, og så sitter vi i vinduet også. Hallo, skal vi si noe? Jeg fortsetter ikke nå. Jo, kom igjen da. Fortsett, jeg kan være kjempegøy. Kan dere følge meg hjem, eller? Det skjønner jeg. Jeg skulle aldri vært med på dette, vet du. Det kommer seriøst sånne lysglimt foran skjermen, altså. Det er dritcreepy. Nå trodde jeg døra åpnet seg. Helvete, hele den driten ligger jo. Sjekka.
At first, nothing unusual seems to happen. The movement slows, then stops completely. The women pause and laugh nervously, trying to dismiss the moment, before resetting their hands and placing their fingers back on the board to try again. Some believe that's where things begin to shift. Paranormal researchers who study Ouija activity often caution that participants are supposed to formally close a session before stopping, typically by saying a closing phrase such as "goodbye" to signal that communication has ended. Without that, some believe the session remains open, leaving continued interaction more unpredictable. On their second attempt, the atmosphere appears to change. The glass on the table begins to move unexpectedly, sliding in a way that doesn't match their earlier control of the board. The reaction is immediate: hesitation, uncertainty, and a brief pause as they realize something feels different this time. But they continue anyway, and to many viewers, that decision stands out. Paranormal investigators often warn that continuing after an unusual or unsettling response can intensify the experience, as repeated engagement is believed by some to signal continued contact rather than closure. Whether the movement was coincidence, subtle manipulation, or something else entirely is never made clear in the footage. But what remains consistent is the sense that whatever began during that first session did not fully end when they stopped the first time.